excited by introducing Robyn Milstead. Now, how many here who's in the group? Who's in the WhatsApp group? Who is not in the MTD?
Okay. I'm very loud.
So, if you do not know, Robyn Milstead was attending a webinar that Taxcalc was running a couple of months ago, where we had Rebecca Rennie and Craig Ogilvie. The webinar became somewhat exciting, I would say. There were quite a lot of to and fro's, and Robyn stepped into the chat on that webinar, and what was born was MTD InfoShare, which now has 257 members. Join Up, Robyn will be sharing the Join Up. It's a really interesting group of people. And what's grown out of that is the idea of MTD therapy. We recognise that there are things that people need to get off their chest around MTD, and Robyn is going to help you do that. I'm going to leave you with her. Thank you.
Thank you. So Andy has just completely stolen my intro to tell you all about our WhatsApp group and why I'm standing on this stage. This morning, as Andy said, there was a legendary Taxcalc webinar discussing MTD, and what happened as a result of the chat box there is that many people in the chat found that we weren't alone in feeling very frustrated about MTD plans, because otherwise, certainly that I had attended in the past, had a feeling of looking exclusively at only, wow, isn't this a wonderful opportunity, isn't this something that we should be so excited about as accountants, and that was a mismatch of how I felt, for sure, and that I found out that webinar particularly, that was a mismatch with how many accountants are feeling about MTD. So I have this opportunity today to talk you through some aspects of MTD that we're not going to go through with the what is quarterly returns and the basic questions we did without. The purpose of today, or this morning, is really to discuss how we can deal with it, how we can deal with it, seeing that we're probably feeling quite paralysed, but we really hate something. So I'm at a point where I'm like, this is so stupid, why is this happening? That made me feel very, very paralysed. But when we can really get over that feeling of paralysis, we can move forward with a plan, and that's really the purpose of what I'm going to talk about today, as we look at some of the feelings that come out of that group, the main things that people are stressed about. But let me first of all invite anyone that isn't part of the group already to join up. There's a QR code, obviously this is not going to be on the screen all the time, so afterwards if you'd like to be added to the group, please come and I'll share the link. The group itself is the vast majority of people in the group, particularly those that are more active in the group, are against MTD or are struggling to find enthusiasm with the plans. That's not to say that everybody there is against MTD. In fact, it's a really important aspect of the group that we invite anybody to join and discuss how they're dealing with the plans, and make sure that everybody has a forum to say good things as well. So there have been some good things shared in the group, positive things, and there are a few people that are very pro-MTD, but the vast majority are going angry most of the time. But that's why we're doing some therapy. And sometimes talking about what makes us angry can be very good therapy for it. Okay, so in true therapy style, what we're going to do, we're going to have a moan, we're going to think about those bad bits, we're going to look at them pragmatically, and then when we feel relief about it, we're going to start formulating a plan that doesn't mean going and throwing eggs at the nearest stage of but before it's Craig and Gert want to get on nearby, so I'm for that. But first, I thought it is actually useful to start with talking about the benefits, because what we don't want to do now is say everything about it is bad, because I think that invalidates our argument that most of it is bad. So let's just spend 2 minutes talking about some of the actual benefits that I think most people will agree do arise from MTD. Now, the first one is that digital accounting software does benefit some people. So you will see it with your clients. Some people will already be on that software and will use it brilliantly, will understand it, will get excellent business information from that software, and that will help them to grow. That's brilliant, and that is not something that as accountants I don't think I've met anybody that disagrees that that's a good thing. Business owners that want more information can get more information from digital accountancy software. However, what I would say is that digital accountancy software doesn't suit everybody, and not everybody does want that information. So, of course, if you want to do this, it doesn't feel particularly useful for everyone, but there are some people that will benefit, and perhaps for us as accountants, what this will do is force us to get those last stragglers that aren't already on accounting software to move them on to them and benefit from it. The second benefit is, of course, and we'll come on to talk about this as just the benefits, so a drawback, but there will be a lot of extra work for accountants out there. There will be people that don't want to do their own distribution, they will be confused, maybe further down the line they will have tried to do it themselves, and they'll get themselves in pickle. That's where we're going to come in. So potentially there is money to be made for us out of MTD. Whether that's moral or not is another question. You can also probably see a shift in the market. One thing that came out of the group, which is shocking, I felt, was that there are a few sole practitioners in the group who are seriously considering retirement because of MTD workload that has happened. Now that's really bad in my opinion. These people that are very knowledgeable, very experienced, are just going to go, this is too much, I can't do it anymore. Now, I put that as a benefit though, because obviously if you're not feeling that way, you may have some extra work coming your way, you may be able to monetize that. Now, the last one there, improve accuracy. Now, that's what HMRC love to say, isn't it? But don't worry, I'm just joking. We all know that that's not true, don't we? So, let's talk through some of the main things that come out of the group in terms of why we feel we need to attend therapy. And I think the first thing that really came out from the group was this feeling of how on earth am I going to deal with all of this extra workload. Maybe sometimes accountants get bad reps and looking just to make money, etc. But actually, we really care about our clients and we want to do a good job. And when we're feeling we're getting extra work that is going to stretch us, that's stressful for us because we don't think that we're going to give that client the best service, and that's a very stressful situation. But what can we do about it? It's not talked about enough, right? That this is just landing loads of extra stuff on our laps. And the first thing that we can do about that is to start a plan, have conversations with clients now. And when I wrote these slides, I hadn't started that myself, but now I'm about 6 weeks after, and I've now started those conversations with my clients, and I can genuinely say that has very much helped me with the thinking looking at them doing the extra work, right? Because many of the conversations that I'm having with the clients have revealed that they actually don't want my involvement, they don't want extra costs, and that they feel confident enough to do the quarterly returns themselves at least initially. So one way to cope is to have those conversations so you actually know what the workload is going to be. You may laugh at the second point. Plan holidays and sicknesses carefully, but unfortunately that is a genuine strategy some people may have to think about. I'm a chartered tax advisor rather than an accountant, so I know that I cannot be sick on the 31st of January, and I know that I cannot go on holiday on the 31st of January. It's part of my job. Unfortunately, I do think there will be an aspect of this to MTD that we will know that we have deadlines, and we will know that we cannot be on holiday if we have to meet those deadlines, and we know that if we feel a little bit rubbish in the morning and a bit snotty, we're still probably going to have to get to work for some sort of out. I don't like it. It's stupid, isn't it, to ask people to work beyond their physical capacity, but I think it is a strategy that's not going to recruit. There's also, on recruitment, some people do suggest recruiting staff to deal with the extra workload. If you're in that position, then well done you, that you can just go and find extra staff. Where all these extra staff are going to come from, that's competent to help with this, I don't know. But again, it's a potential plan. Otherwise, if really you find that the workload is going to be too much, what's the other option? You're going to end up having to disengage some clients. It's a reality that maybe you might need to get your head around now rather than in April next year. And the last point here is to remember that the penalties are points-based. So although my opinion on an penalty regime is that it's much harsher, you will find that the Robyn Milstead it's a much fairer regime. It's wonderful. I don't agree with that. I think that we'll find that penalties are going to absolutely skyrocket for people, but it can work in our advantage in so much as one missed quarterly submission is not going to end up in a penalty. So if you are ill, if you are in hospital, don't drag yourself out of hospital to do a quarterly return and hope that the clients will be understanding of that. So there are some ways to cope and get to work with. Now, the next thing that has been brought up a lot of is the thought that clients just won't appreciate the extra burden costs. Now, is that not a problem that we experience as accountants anyway? Much of the time, people don't realise the amount of work and heart that goes into our jobs sometimes because it's just putting a bigger pot. It's just a number. People don't see the reality of the thought process and the 2 o'clock thoughts in the middle of the night. So how are we going to deal with that? It's going to be a reality, isn't it? But people are going to say, well, you are literally just clicking a box for these entities sufficient. But again, starting that conversation now is a good idea. Being open and honest with the clients, and that's something I found super useful with my clients. I've been telling the clients, look, I don't know what these entity solutions are going to look like yet, because the reality is that much of the software hasn't been fully released to be able to test. I don't know how much involvement you're going to need from me, but you will appreciate that I will need to charge you because even if it is a click of the box, I still have another admin procedures behind me that need to be done. I need to make sure that I'm documenting what I'm sending in, etc. for you to provide professional service. Now, having just that open discussion that I don't like it, but I'm happy to help you if I can, has really helped with clients appreciating that I'm on their side with this, so that when I do charge them, if I need to charge them, they are not going to be thinking they are just trying to make tons of money off of me. They're going to appreciate that service and realise that my cost is not based on I want billions of pounds of profit. It's based on this is reasonable the time that I'm spending. Another point to be aware of is to think about your fees now. Now, this is the hardest point at the moment because without doing it regularly, it's very difficult to know what our fees should be, right? This is one aspect of our group that comes up very regularly. How much should I charge for this? What's everybody else charging? And the group seems to be sticking at around £100 plus VAT a quarter. Some are higher than that, some are lower than that for entity submissions. That tends to be where most of the comments are coming from. That may work for you, that may not work for you, and that's okay. But my point here is the thought that if you have some fees, try to stick with them. Once you know what the fees you need to charge are, do not accept sob stories and dragons. The one revolutionary thing we've done at LKA is to release a tax rate card for all our tax returns. So instead of me having a client conversation and going, this person sounds like they're really sorted and their records are going to be great, I'm going to charge them less. If they have a certain set of income, they are charged a certain amount, no matter what records they're sending me, because I've set that fee. I think that will be extremely helpful for people when it comes to MTD submission. And then finally, if you're really finding that the clients are not appreciating your work, consider disengaging them. It's hard, but it may be necessary. You're not a charity and you don't need that in your life, so if there's a client that is not making you enough money to get up in the morning, or they are not giving you any joy, they are just a pain, they can find somebody else. So yeah, on the similar theme, clients are not going to appreciate the extra work and cost again, but what can we do? How are we going to make a plan? The very first thing that has been very helpful to me is to drill down my client list and categorise. I actually think myself I should say something else because I think this quote is supposed to say I can't just do one size fits all for everybody. That's a common theme, because if you have got a practice where you could go to your clients and say, right, I'm no longer supporting anyone that doesn't go onto Xero, that doesn't go onto QuickBooks, to a specific accountancy package, or you could be more wide and say everybody needs to go onto accounting software, automated accounting software. That may be a lot easier for you. What we found in the group is that many people don't think that that is going to be a possibility, that we can't just say to everybody, do this or get out. And that's the reality for me in our practice, is that I've got people who are already on software, and I've got various softwares there. I've got people who use a spreadsheet and use it efficiently, and there's no benefit to them going onto the digital software. I've got people who can't even open a spreadsheet. I've got people who can't read. So I can't just put everybody in the same box. So the thing that has very much helped is to categorise, have a look, see what you're actually dealing with, see whether you can, not box people, but put people into categories, have a think about, okay, if this person says this, then I'm going to do this. Now, in my case, the vast majority of people, particularly those who are using spreadsheets, are happily using spreadsheets, and therefore I have come to the conclusion with them that they are going to deal with the submissions themselves. They're going to have a look at free bridging software themselves and see how they get on. Perhaps in April, I'm going to do a screen share with them to see them do it, so that I can just check that I'm happy with how they're doing it. And then the result of that is either they're going to be fine, and then bingo, I haven't got any extra work, I can carry on doing useful things that I do at work, rather than charging people for these quarterly submissions, or they're going to get themselves in a pickle. We're going to pick it up and do a tax you in, and I'm going to say, do you know what, actually, I can see you're not handling this very well. Now's the time for me to step in, and again, they're going to appreciate that a little bit more. So, otherwise, networking with others is hugely helpful to understand types of approach that you can take. Again, everybody's very welcome to join the WhatsApp group for information share. That has been invaluable to me. It's been such an eye-opener to understand how other people are dealing with self-help plans. Obviously, sometimes networking can be a bit of a time drain, and it can be definitely a sort of battery drain on it. You never know what connections are going to be more useful than others, but certainly with the subjects, we need the help of other people, right? We need to just know we're not going crazy. And then the final thought here is, I really, really just want this to all go away. Now, my understanding is that it is not going to go away, and certainly in April we are going to have at least the very first quarters are going to be submitted in August. My sincere hope, if I say this directly actually next to me, is that the HMRC computers are going to melt, and then we just have to do one quarter and then we're good. It's not going to go away, but it's absolutely okay to try. I sometimes a glass of wine really helps. Real therapy, this is not real therapy, unfortunately, but you know, real therapy is out there. But what has genuinely helped me to think of Plan MTD is getting this more information. So much information that you feel like you're just going to pop. But knowing what we're dealing with is a big asset. And then as you attend more MTD seminars today, tomorrow, etc., the more information you get, the more confident you'll feel, because sometimes the questions and Q&As are being asked, and you think, well, I know the answer to that. Makes you feel much more confident about dealing with it. And of course, you're all very welcome to come and get in our WhatsApp group. Now, in true therapy, I have had therapy, by the way, so I do know this. We can all do now a collective deep breath. Or you can go home and scream into the void. Both will make you feel much better. But I hope this has been useful, just to have a bit of time to acknowledge that all the things you're going to hear today are going to be about the wonderful opportunities that MTD present. That's not the feeling of everybody, and it's okay to feel very stressed about this topic. There is support out there. Come to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Robyn. Robyn had a QR code, so if anyone